sometimes you got to look at your own circle, and sometimes the people that are the closest to you are the most angered by your light, and those people are trying to sabotage you. Once you realize somebody in your life doesn't have your best interest, and once you realize that the people around you are not as happy for your success as you feel like they should be, immediately get rid of them. All right, babies, welcome back to Bayleigh Daily. I am your host, Bayleigh, of course. And this episode is all about people sabotaging your light. Okay, so we're going to start this with a story time. I read a quote that said, "Be careful of people that are attracted to your light, but when they get too close, they try to dim it." And I was mind blown by that quote. I did like an Instagram caption about it, but I was stopped in my track because I had this friend who I considered one of my best friends. I even called her like a sister. And I did not realize until years into our friendship that her whole entire mission was to sabotage me in my light. I look back on the situation now, and it's kind of comical because I should have caught the clues, but I had no idea. But there would be comments that, she would say to me like, "Oh, hey, you got to be careful because, people don't really like you. So I just want to let you know." And I'm like, "Oh, well, who doesn't like me?" Or she would say things of "Oh, you're doing a little bit much, but don't worry about it. I'll help you." Just very sabotage things where I should have realized then that there was a underlying jealousy or underlying hatred towards me, but I had no idea until it was kind of too late. So long story short, this same friend made up some pretty treacherous rumors about me, my husband, my children, my family, and it just got to the point where it was too far, where I had multiple people calling me and basically telling me the crap that she was talking about me. And this obviously at the time broke my heart because this is supposed to be one of my best friends. But I tell this story to say, sometimes you got to look at your own circle, and sometimes the people that are the closest to you are the most angered by your light, and those people are trying to sabotage you. So this is what you can do to keep those people out of your circle when it comes to sabotaging people. You need to do an inventory frequently of one. And you know what? Okay, hold on. I got to backtrack because I'm trying to think how I could have prevented this from happening in the moment. Hindsight 2020, of course I can see it clearly now. But when I was going through this, I have to be 100%. I don't remember feeling like this person didn't have my best interest. I remember feeling vulnerable. I remember feeling oh, well, they're looking out for me. I'm oh, okay, well, I must be doing too much. Or, oh, people really don't like me. And I was more paranoid by the things that she would say to get in my head. Or she would do things to where and this is a little bit TMI, but there would be men that were interested in me. And she would say things in front of them "Oh, well, Bayleigh does this," or make me seem like I was more promiscuous or more open to things than I really was, to try to paint me in a negative light, or "Oh, you really don't know that much about her," kind of thing. And in the moment, I remember feeling uncomfortable, but I didn't realize how I could stop it, or even it would just be happening so fast, I wouldn't call that person out about it. And I don't really know why I allowed myself. I don't know if I didn't have enough self-esteem, or I don't know if I just brushed it off. I don't know why in the moment I didn't realize what was happening to me. So I can only really talk about this from a perspective of the hindsight 2020 and seeing okay, there's certain people in your life that you think have your best interests, and then you realize that they don't. And the only thing I can tell you is how to pick up and move forward. I can't really tell you how to spot it because I obviously didn't spot it for years and years and years. But I can tell you, okay, once you realize somebody in your life doesn't have your best interest, and once you realize that the people around you are not as happy for your success as you feel like they should be, immediately get rid of them. There is no pause. Oh my God, we've been friends for forever. Let's try to work this out. Because when you realize that somebody's intentions are evil, or you realize that somebody is doing something to intentionally hurt you, there's no space. Like, and I don't want to say there's no space for forgiveness. There's definitely always space for forgiveness, but there's no space for them in your life, like period, point blank. And I've had this issue forever, to where people will do evil things to me and I'll just be like, oh, well, I've known them for 10 years, or, oh, they were my first friend in college, so I'll just forgive them. And it's like, no, like, you need to learn how to establish your boundaries. You need to learn how to put yourself first, and you need to get the people who are holding you back as far away from you as possible. For me, I can genuinely say that it wasn't until my daughter came to where I felt like there was even an importance of putting myself first, because I was like, oh, well, you know, whatever, they can do anything to me. It's not a big deal. But once my daughter came into this world, I was able to really like recognize like how malicious that intent could be, because one, you're not going to say anything about my children. Don't bring up my children. Don't bring up my children's father. Don't bring up, you know, anything that has to do with my family, because that's like a button that you don't push. But also, I could imagine, what if somebody was doing this to my daughter? Like, what if Laura had a friend that was sabotaging her, or saying negative things about her, or painting her in a toxic light? What would my advice to her as a mother be? Y'all. And that hit me like, wow, I can't sit here and not take advice that I would want to give to my daughter. Or I can see how now my mom, who would be giving me advice, and she would kind of like come off as like a little harsh or intense. I can see why she was coming off that way, because it's so serious. It's not some simple thing that can be brushed under the rug. This is somebody who is actively speaking negativity on your life, that's actively wanting you to fail, that is saying, oh, I have this friend who has so much abundance that it's not a big deal if I just throw some mud or throw some dirt on her. That's not a friend. So yeah, if you guys are going through a situation to where you're noticing that you're starting to elevate, if you're in a small circle, or you're in a small town, small-minded place, and you start to rise above the crowd and people can't take it and they can't handle your growth, get out. Cut ties, allow the room to open up, and allow your vibration to bring people into your life that are actually going to be on your same level. I remember after this season of my life, I cut a few friends off, and I was like crying to my husband every single day, like, babe, I don't have any friends. It feels so lonely. Like, should I call them? Should I make up? And he's like, no, like, freaking relax. Like, because you're leaving room in your life now for the people that are equally yoked with you, for the people that do care about you, that want to see you grow, that are on the same level, and there's no competition in your friendship to come. And since then, I have gained so many more friends that I feel like, one, I can look up to, that don't judge me in a negative way. Even if I do have a lapse of judgment, or even if I do something wrong, they handle me with care and grace, and they don't highlight my downfalls to complete strangers. You know, like I find like that weird. How do you call somebody your friend or your sister or whatever? And then if they have a mistake, instead of trying to like help them graciously or have them work through it, you blast it to the world. That is not friendship. So yeah, I just think it's like very important for us to really check our circle, to really monitor who we let in our lives. And if you feel like somebody's trying to put you down, they probably are. And if you don't have a relationship with that person where you can call them out and you guys can talk about it and they can take accountability and apologize, then that person shouldn't be your friend. And that person shouldn't be held at such a high esteem. And also, side note, flip the script. If you're the person that does that to people, you need to do a complete freaking mirror check. Look at yourself and ask, why am I putting other people down? Why do I feel like their light threatens me? Why is this something that I'm comfortable with? Because when I confronted this girl, like, hey, have you been saying these terrible, malicious things about me? Her response was, yeah, I have. I'm sorry, but yeah, I have. So if you know that you're doing this to someone that you love, please stop. Like, why would you do that? Your friends are meant to elevate you and push you forward, and not to tear you down. So yeah, I just had to get that off my chest. It's very important that you let your friends shine, that you shine to the highest of your ability. And if there's people that are trying to dim your light, genuinely get rid of them. So on that note, babies, I would just like to say it's been a pleasure talking to you this week and instilling some wisdom into y'all. If you want to talk about anything else, please make sure that you like, subscribe, and drop it in the comments. Love you, love you, love you, and see you next time on Bayleigh Daily.